Have you ever dieted yourself into weight gain?
Yep. Here's how that goes. You start a diet, which is a short-term fix to lose a few pounds because you don't like what you see in the mirror. And then you deprive. You punish yourself by saying, I'm never going to eat chocolate again or bread. And then you do that for a little bit. You might lose a few pounds. And then you go like, forget this.
Who wants to live like that?
Then
Not
you
me.
ditch it all. Start the binge cycle of like too much chocolate or too much bread.
You haven't had it for so long that you just overindulge.
And then you're like, well, forget the diet. I threw it all out the window. So I'm just going to keep on the train of too much. And then you gain it all back plus a few extra. Wah. So diets don't work. Most of us who are here watching have been on many diets. And if you're here watching, you know that it hasn't worked because you're still here watching, wanting to lose the weight.
Like, that's me.
Me too, until we started doing something different. So today we're going to share with you what to do instead so that you can get off the diet hamster wheel for good.
You know, diet is die with a T, right?
Yep.
We all don't like that restriction, that punishment that happens when we think, oh, we can never have bread again. I like bread.
Can I just say, it feels so oppressive.
That's right.
Right?
It really does. Like, oh, I got to start another diet.
Yeah. But then there's this whole thing where we don't feel worthy unless we can say, I'm on a diet, right? We feel like our self-worth is so wrapped up in all the fad diet culture things that unless we're like, well, I'm starting a diet on Monday, that, you know, we're not good enough.
That's right. We want our friends to know that, yeah, we're on a diet and we're going to keep on a diet for a lifetime.
Yeah.
No, we don't want to live like that because that is oppressive.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
That's not living your best life.
Absolutely not. And you know what? The facts are, studies show that you do actually gain weight on diets. Like I think the studies show that you gain approximately 2 to 3 pounds per diet that you try.
So if you've tried 6 or 7 diets, which we could name a whole pile.
Oh yeah.
And you've probably tried them all. Well, you've gained like 20 pounds just for trying a diet. And yeah, maybe you did lose a little bit of weight on that diet. Maybe you lost a lot of weight on that diet. But as soon as you went off the diet, it all came back plus more.
Exactly.
We have talked to so many women and they all say, yeah, 10 extra pounds.
Yep. And so think about your own journey with dieting. And it probably goes back for years and years, maybe even decades. Think about every time that you've gone on some diet and maybe you did really well, and then all of a sudden you weren't doing well. That's and right. The weight just like piles back on. And then what happens is we get this complex about our body image, about our weight that tells us that I'm always going to be like this. I'm never going to be able to lose the weight.
I can't do it.
I'm such a failure. And that becomes the language that we are speaking over ourselves day in, day out.
And that is why it's oppressive, because those words, those thoughts, that language is from the devil.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's no wonder that diets don't work. They are short-term fixes. They are not long-term solutions. They're not long-term changes that we can make in our life and be successful with over time. Because really, truly, the key to losing weight and keeping it off, and we can both tell you this from experience, is consistency. Right? The Bible talks about we reap what we sow, but the part that we miss with that so often is over time, right? The passage goes something along the lines of like, you reap what you sow.
In due time.
Yes, exactly. Like the harvest is ready in due time if we do not give up. And most of us give up.
Because the journey is hard. It's long. And so we like to call it the narrow road because the Bible talks about the wide road and the narrow road. Well, this is one of the narrow roads. It's one of the pieces of the puzzle that Jesus is talking about. Mm-hmm. He wants us to treat our bodies with the respect. We're called to treat our bodies like a temple, but we go off onto the wide road because it's easier. And yes, it is easier, but it's not about healthy living. It's about, everything else that's an indulgence. And it just makes us sick. Our bodies get sick. So we have to rein ourselves back in. We don't want to be on those diets where we're restricting ourselves because that's no fun and that's not a way to live. But we have to rein ourselves in.
Yeah, because we're also called to live a life of self-control.
That's right.
Okay. And so, all of those diets, they're not really about our health. They're about not liking ourselves. And so we decide to deprive ourselves. We decide to punish ourselves and we've been talking a lot lately about exercise. For so many people has this connotation of punishment. Exercise is health for our bodies. It's movement, it's flexibility, it's agility, it's all these things that are so good for us. So why do we view it as punishment? Same thing with monitoring our diet. And I'm going to use the word diet there just in the context or with the meaning of what we choose to eat, right? We view our diet as punishment. God made food for fuel for our bodies. It's good for us to enjoy what we eat, but we have to learn how to view it in the right set of lenses as fuel for these bodies. And God's asking us to treat our bodies like a temple. We always say not like a trash can. And so when we shift our perspective to this lens of God made food for us to enjoy so that our bodies can have energy and health to do the things that we want to do. Like, oh my goodness, doesn't that change the perspective?
It certainly does. So here's what we want to talk about for a minute. It's about fuel. Now, fuel means that it's going to give you energy, and we want sustainable energy. So what we like to say is let's get rid of the simple carbs, the simple sugars. That means the cakes, the cookies, the sweets, the sugar-laden drinks. It means the things that like make our sugar in the blood skyrocket, and then we have a crash. That,
again, not about health.
No, that's not about health, and it is not good for our bodies. It's not good for us because then it just makes us wanting more. We crave more, and then pretty soon we're overindulging every day in these simple sugars. So fuel for our bodies is more the complex carbs, which are things like brown rice, sweet potatoes rather than white potatoes. Sweet potatoes are a complex carb. Or like what's something else? Brown rice pasta. There's many options that we have today.
Vegetables.
Yeah, and vegetables and more vegetables and more vegetables. But we have to just start thinking as what is going to give us sustainability, the energy that we need to carry us through the day. The simple sugars don't do that.
No.
But the complex ones do.
Exactly.
Take an apple. It will take you much further than a cookie.
It will. And apples taste really good. You know what? And so we've got to start viewing food from that lens, because you will start making different choices if you start thinking of food like that, instead of, looking at food as your source of comfort, enjoyment, your friend, because we have all these weird ideas about what food is. And we want to enjoy food, but we also want food to be in its rightful place in our life, where food is not an idol. And for many of us, food has become an idol that we are like looking to. We become obsessed about it. It's all we can think about. It's all we can focus on. And you know what? We're supposed to be looking to God for those things, not food. And so we've got to look at what position does food hold in my life right now? And you might be surprised by the answer that you come up with. And so we would really challenge you to do
Think
that.
about that.
And we have other videos on this channel. In fact, we should link one in the description about the 7 classes of nutrients that God actually created that our bodies need. And we will just tell you the 7 classes quickly, but if you want the in-depth information, it's in this other video. Carbohydrates,
Protein,
fats, those are the macro categories.
Three of those.
We need more of those in our life. And when you hear those words, often we go like, oh, I can't have fat. Oh, I can't have carbs. Oh, I need high protein. Well, that's just messing with the system that God created.
That's
okay.
Right. We need all 3. In fact, the stories in the Bible where Jesus gave the fish and the bread, that is those 3 macros. It's protein, carbs, and fat.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the 3 macro categories. The 4 micro categories are fiber, vitamins, minerals, and water. Okay, so here's the thing. Moderation and
key.
Balance are key in life in every area. And that exists within what we choose to eat. And if you go back to balance, if you go back to self-control, if you go back to looking at food as fuel and you start managing your portion sizes, you can lose weight without being on a diet.
And one more tip here. If you just think about processed junk, that's not fuel.
No. That's the opposite.
Yeah.
That's like going to the gas station and putting propane or diesel in your gasoline engine. It's going to blow it up. That's what's happening to our bodies
in the long term, because when we keep filling our body, which is our vehicle, with processed crap, it breaks down very quickly.
Yeah. And you know what? Most of the things that you're probably struggling with health-wise in your life right now could be traced back to inflammation and what we choose to consume as food, which is fuel. So much of it causes inflammation. So if we start to clean that up, you're going to start to see some different things happening in your body.
So if you like what you're hearing, we're going to ask right now that you subscribe to this YouTube channel, because it just helps us as we're growing in healthy Christian living.
Exactly.
With Ruth and Casey. And so also comment, tell us what area of your life, like what do you struggle with?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because we will respond.
Exactly. And it helps us to know what you want to hear about as well. So you can also comment below with ideas that, or if you have like some burning topic that you're like, I need to know more about this, put it in the comments. We will do a video about it because we want this channel to be in service to help Christian women get healthy. That's the goal.
To reclaim their health.
Exactly.
Okay. So what do they do to start? If they're like, I do all that. I don't want to gain weight. I want to stop dieting. What's one tip for them?
Okay, well, we've kind of got two for you here, okay? The first one is that we need to make new habits that are sustainable for life. Okay, quit with the diet mentality. Quit with the like, I'm starting Monday and I'm going to eliminate this and that and everything. And I don't like myself. Stop.
In fact, we say, fire that diet.
Right. Start shifting the perspective that you are looking at food from. That's the first thing. And then start making new habits that you can actually achieve and stick with over time. So that's things like, you know what? I'm going to start replacing all of the white bread in my house with good whole grain options instead. And you know what? In fact, with bread specifically, we prefer sprouted grain breads to anything else because it's so much healthier for our bodies.
So remember, this is about health for your body.
Yeah.
So just try it. Try switching to sprouted bread.
And then cut back on your portion size.
That's
okay.
Right.
Instead of 2 slices, maybe start with cutting down to 1.5. Start making small changes. And that's our second step or our second point. Baby steps. Start small.
That's right. Because every step is a step forward. If you think of baby steps, if you think of a baby, Casey has a baby right now. Well, she falls a lot, right? Babies fall down. Well, we fall down too. Mm-hmm. We fall down in our decisions. We fall down in our habits, but we can get up again. Just like a baby always gets up again. They're never down for good. So we don't have to be down for good. So let's get up and make those small little habits, those small changes, those small baby steps that are going to move you forward. Because 3 steps forward and 2 steps back is still a step ahead.
Exactly. And if you are viewing this journey from the perspective of your health, then that can really help us to stop with the all or nothing mindset.
And the pity pot.
Exactly. Because we're choosing to move forward for the sake of our health. We're not failing at diets. We're looking forward to treating our bodies like a temple, not a trash can. And that completely changes the game right there.
So I just want to say, if you think that you failed at all the diets out there, I want to tell you this. You haven't failed at dieting. Dieting has failed you. Dieting is just all about, like we talked about, that deprivation and restriction. We got to let go of that, fire your diet, and let's start living a lifestyle that is pleasing to Jesus.
Exactly. And that right there will change every decision that you make if you start thinking it from that perspective.
Yeah.
And that's why we actually created our Should I Eat That guide? Because we know that as women of faith, we need to start viewing what we eat from the lens of like, should I eat that? Is that honoring to my body? Is that stewarding my body well to choose whatever it is that's in your path that you're thinking, oh, I should eat that.
And when you get that in your head, when you get it in your mind, and every time you go to eat, should I eat that? It's going to change your lifestyle. Trust us on that.
Yeah.
It really, truly will. We've helped thousands of women already with the Should I Eat That guide, and it is helping them make better decisions. Mm-hmm. It's the small habits.
Exactly. And you've probably heard it said before, shoot for the moon. And if you land on the stars, well, you made it that far, or however it goes. But you know what? The opposite is actually true. Shoot for one baby step in the right direction.
And it's going to change the trajectory of your life.
Exactly. When we come up with these overwhelming ideas of like, oh, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. Well, we can't even act because we don't know how to do that. We have to break it down into small steps. So your first step might be to drink your water for the day. right?
That's right.
Make it small, make it manageable, make it something that you're actually going to do, and then go do it.
And here's another little tip. If you don't like exercise, try walking for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
You know, 10 minutes is just a little time.
Exactly.
Try it, and you might even walk for 15.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to grab a copy of our Should I Eat That guide, we will link it down below in the description. You can grab that at shouldiEatThat.com. And you know what? Stop with the diets. Enough's enough. Fire that diet, kick it out the door,
Kick it out the window and
start treating your body like a temple, not a trash can.